everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of 52-Week Movie Challenge. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got a little guest here today who's joining me. Hi, say everybody, say hi to Rocky, everybody. Say hi. Yeah, he's going to be in my lap. He's been wanting to get some attention real quick. He might be joining me for the next one as well. Who knows? So, Rocky will be here for a little bit. I think he might sit down in a bit. So this is week 51. Holy crap. We got one more week to go after this, and then we're done. And I hate to say it, but I kind of thank God about that because, yeah, I am ready to just go. But anyway, real quick, got the little Stay Puft Marshmallow behind me because we're going to be talking about a film that personally relates to me. This is the only thing I could figure out. So it's Ghostbusters. It's a film that personally relates to me. And the year release was 1984. The date challenge completed was 12/20/22. The aspect ratio is 2.21. 2.21. Then running time's an hour and 45 minutes. Genre is action, comedy, fantasy. Horror elements, whatever else you want to call it. Starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis, William Atherton, Reginald VelJohnson's in it. I mean, it's got a lot of people, and we'll probably go into some in a little bit. My star rating is 5. So this is one of my favorite films of all time. Directed by Ivan Reitman, produced by Ivan Reitman, written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. Music by Elmore Bernstein, and the theme song was done by Raymond Park Jr. Awards received is BAFTA Award for Best Song. I'm guessing that's the Ghostbusters theme. Then let's see. Saturn Award for Visual Effects by Richard Edlund. I think Richard Edlund might have done some of the Nightmare on Elm Street effects too, if I'm correct. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Why did I choose this particular film over others? It's the movie that got me to want to be in movies and stuff. Got me to love movies, actually. So we'll get into that. Why did I choose this? Oh wait, I already did that. Have you seen this movie before? Yes, millions of times. Would you recommend this film? Why not? Yep, absolutely. One of my favorite movies of all time. Such a great flick. Which character were you most able to identify with, connect with in one way? I said I guess Ray, maybe Ray. But if anyone. But once again, no one really. Best line or memorable quote: "Back off, man, I'm a scientist," or "Yes, Your Honor, this man has no dick." Tell me how you personally relate to this film. This movie was the start of my love for movies. In preschool, I had a scrapbook, and I wanted to become a Ghostbuster because of it. What emotions did you experience watching this movie? Watching this film? I mean, if I don't know if they're talking about now or back when I originally watched it, so I'm guessing now. Complete love and nostalgia. Those are the feelings I got watching it. And we'll get into that. Anything else you'd like to add? Nope. Buy it on 4K. So I was gonna bring the 4K thing over, but I'm feeling like not doing that right now. I watched it on Blu-ray. Because there's a 4K and Blu-ray together, and I did this in another room and decided not to watch it in the big living room and everything. I mean, I could have, but I was just like, I just want to lay down and just enjoy it, and I did. It's a film that I can watch any time of day. Like some people have like Star Wars is like their movie that they can watch anytime, any place. And this movie is my Star Wars or my Raiders of the Lost Ark. A lot of people say Raiders of the Lost Ark was a movie that got them to want to become an actor. This movie is what got me figuring out, like, for the longest time when I was a kid, movies were magical. Movies made me feel like they were real. Like I was not just watching something that some people put together, but I was watching a story that really happened, or something like a documentary in some way or another. Because when I was a kid, I thought these were real. This stuff was real. This could really happen. And so I got terrified of I got terrified watching this movie when I was a kid. I remember watching it in my parents' room and being scared to death, like of the scene where Dana Barrett is attacked by I'm guessing that was Zool. Yeah, it was Zool. And then Vince Clortho took over the body of Louis Tully. But that scene with the arms coming up and grabbing, I just was terrified. Like that to me, and actually kind of made I don't know if he's ever seen this movie before, but when he heard that stuff, he was like, you know, what's going on there? And he was staring right at the dog and everything. He got really interested in it. So there you go. Um, but to me, this movie was something like it was magical to me. It's very personal. It's so funny. I mention a lot of movies that pertain to me, and sometimes I don't mention Ghostbusters. Not, it's because I got so many movies that are kind of personal to me, but Ghostbusters. But people are like, "Wait, Ghostbusters?" And that like your favorite movie. I used to have the firehouse. I used to have all the toys. I used to have the jumpsuit when I was a kid. I used to have I just bought the Tobin Spirit Guide because I was like, somebody had to make that into a thing. And they did. And I just bought it. It was like 18 bucks on Amazon, or not Amazon, eBay. And it is brand new and it is worth it. And I can't wait to get that. Just bought it today because I was like thinking that would be really cool to have. So now I do. Now I will. I really, really enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed the movie. Um, so if you haven't seen the movie, which I don't know why you're watching this little review of it, if you haven't, but I always like to make that disclaimer. If you haven't seen it, and if I'm about to spoil stuff, I'm sure, so whatever. But basically, the plot of the story is these three guys get kicked out of their uh college campus, work, they're scientists, they're basically trying, they're figuring out a way to capture and prison ghosts in like a containment unit. And so they will capture these, the whole plan is they're going to go into business for themselves and they're going to kidnap or whatever, not kidnap, but whatever, take these ghosts and put them into a containment, you know, um, unit and store them so that they don't bother anybody else. And again, it's wonderful idea. What like Dan Aykroyd, I must have had a field day when he came up with that idea. So when they wrote whatever, so the idea is that there's been a lot of psychokinetic activity happening around New York, and when they start, taking down the ghosts and everything, they start realizing, uh-oh, there's something bigger happening right now. We don't realize what it is, and it all started from uh Dana Barrett in her apartment, hearing the voice say Zool in her, like it was not a voice, but it was a dog that said Zool, to her in her refrigerator. So that was the beginning. So they looked up Zool. They found out that Zool was a minion of Gozer, and Gozer was this god from like the Mesopotamia era and Samaria. And I did look up. There are a lot of gods and demigods in the Samaria and everything. I thought it's fascinating. Obviously, Gozer is like I think a fake name and everything, a fictional one for Ghostbusters. And actually, that's very smart because that way they can have these things where they can do whatever they want with that ghost, and they did it got brought back in Ghostbusters Afterlife, and there was like a Wii game that I had for a little bit, and it was kind of interesting. But like you could play a Ghostbuster and you could shoot people. It's cool. Shoot little ghosts and capture them. It was neat. Kind of cool little experience there. But so anyway, Gozer comes back and only but it happens when uh the environmental protection agent Walter Peck played wonderfully, brilliantly. I loved meeting William Atherton. I got to meet him once, and he was one of the sweetest, gentlest, nicest people. And I kind of feel bad for him because they have that Dickless line, and there so people do yell at him, "Hey, Dickless," and I'm sure he's like, "Great, all right." I love being a part of this movie, but Jesus. Um. Anyway, there's just so much that happens, in this movie that it's a big deal to me. It's a film that I absolutely adore. And I personally, I don't know, I wanted to be a Ghostbuster for so long. I watched the cartoon, I had all the toys. I was I watched them I would wear the VHSs out and I never had a laser disc of it. Maybe one day I'll get that. Because maybe I'll get a laser disc. I don't know. But yeah, I gotta, all that. And just to me, the movie was just a lot of fun and enjoyable and interesting, you know? And I adore it. Honestly, it's one of my favorite films of all time. It was my favorite film of all time before Ed Wood knocked it out. And Ed Wood, as you found out, because I did do my favorite film, that movie I think that movie's a little bit more personal to me than this one is, but I already reviewed it. So I wanted to pick something else. And this is like another movie that's very personal to me. Um, I don't know. I absolutely love this film. It is something that I can watch. Like I said, I can watch anytime. Anytime, like I'm not feeling good or something, I watch it. Anytime I'm bored, I'm like, what's on television? If it's on, I'd watch it. Um, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's seriously that good of a movie, and and it still holds up today. In fact, it probably holds up better than most movies do of that time period too, of the 80s, because like some of them are grounded in something that's very sort of negative or something that people would be like, oh, this isn't appropriate for this time. No, this movie was like sort of a staple in a time period capsule of the movie, and it's done so well. I love it. Absolutely one of my favorite films of all time. And if you got to go watch it. If you haven't seen it, watch it. I can't wait to hear what you guys got to think about it, because I mean, it is a movie that's personal to me. It's a movie that I think is personal for a lot of people my age. Um, and if I remember showing Paul it recently for Film Freaks, and he was shocked because it holds up really well. And I think he didn't like it because it was at that time like the typical 80s mainstream comedy thing and wasn't his style. And I think he liked it a lot better now, than he probably did back then. Um, I would say if you know, part one and part two are pretty great. Part three is really good. The female one, not so much. And I think a lot of that is not to do with the fact that they're female. In fact, I was looking forward to it. I love Melissa McCarthy. So I was excited. And Kristen Wiig and all those people, like everybody in that movie, Paul Feig, I was a huge fan of. I just could not like it. I don't know. It had in the beginning of it started off really well, and I was like, okay, I'm behind this, and then somewhere along the way, it just stopped being fun for me. And yeah, I just didn't enjoy it as much. Um, Anywho, Yeah, I love this movie. There's some great scenes that I can quote everything. There's my one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie is them going to deal with Slimer for the first time, which Slimer's my favorite character, by the way, of like everything. So I watched the Ghostbusters cartoon. Slimer was a big, like he was a big pet in that, which was great. They did not bring him back for these part two when they had already done the cartoon, which I I think it was because they were trying to ground it more in reality and not cartoon silliness. But man, I would love to see like a the cartoon, the real Ghostbusters, like movie, like live action movie. That would have been great. Because then, not maybe you don't even have to have Bill Murray or them, just have people playing a younger version of Peter or Winston and and Egon and Ray, and everything. Like, I mean, completely new people playing them. I think that would be Zac Efron playing um Bill Murray's character. I think he could do a great job. Josh Hutcherson as fucking as Ray. Um Egon would be somebody, I don't know. I don't know who. Seth Rogen. I don't know. He'd have fun with that. He'd probably more be like Ray or want to be Ray. Things like that. I know they were going to do a bunch of different ones, and that was on the table of having like Seth Rogen, I believe, in that crew. Chris Rock at some point. But it didn't work out, and then they ended up doing other ones, and they ended up finally doing the female Ghostbusters, which didn't do really well, and then the Ghostbusters Afterlife, which was directed by Jason Reitman, who was Ivan Reitman, the director's son. I think he was on set for this movie, if I'm correct, or something, or maybe it was a little baby. I don't know when this movie was made. I have no idea, but I think I heard something like he was on set for it, but I mean it's a legacy. It's a franchise. They even say the franchise rights alone would make you profitable beyond your wildest dreams, kind of thing. And it's true. Like this is a franchise, and one of the biggest, coolest, like there's comic books, there's books, I wonder if they ever did like a choose your own adventure for Ghostbusters. That would have been cool. Um, it's just fun. It's just enjoyable, and I had a blast. I I remember just the 80 that time period of just watching these things, and I don't know. Anywho, that's it. That's all I got for that. Let me bring it up to what's next. What's coming next week? So next week is the last week. I am done after that. No offense. I enjoy this. This is fun. I'm not doing this again for a while. Mainly because I'm just sort of, it takes up a little bit too much time at times. Where, I mean, it's easy, it's simple. I just watch a movie and then review it. It's simple, but I have to do it every week, and there's some days I'm busy with a million other things, so I have to fit it into the schedule. And it got really hard, but that's it's the name of the game, man. I did it though, so I'm proud. Got one more to do. As long as I'm still around, I'm doing it. All right. Challenge number 52, week 52. A movie released the decade you were born. So I already have a movie in mind, but it's the 80s, so it could be anything. Um, I'm really excited. Um, I can't wait. It didn't say a date that you were born, but it said a movie released on the decade I was born, so anytime in the 80s. What do you think? You got some ideas for me, Rocky? Huh? Maybe. Maybe he does. I don't know. All right. So we're gonna be back next week for a brand new episode. Until then, have a good one. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys loved Ghostbusters when you were a kid, did you guys have the fire set and everything like that? The firehouse? Did you guys have you used to have it at the working pool and everything. So mad. I don't know whatever happened with it. I got a lot of old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Um, what is it? action figures, but they're like not mine. They weren't mine when I was a kid. So there you go. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody. Say bye bye. Bye bye. Whoa. It's okay. I gotcha. I gotcha. You're holding on for dear life. All right. Bye, guys.